Hey friends, I am sitting here in my car waiting for my husband. We're getting ready to go have lunch together. I wanted to share something with you real quick. I had a dream a couple of months ago. It's just really been on my mind. It's came back to my mind so many times. I just really wanted to share it with you. In the dream, it was in the evening. It was dark outside, but it wasn't really dark because there was a full moon and it was very lit up. It was warm outside, so I assumed that it was maybe either summer or early fall. And everyone was outside looking up at the moon because there was another planet. There was a planet next to the moon that was almost the same size as the moon. It was bright. It almost looked like another moon. And everyone was looking at this. Everyone was outside, and there was such a peaceful feeling. It was very calm and peaceful. If this was something that was happening in reality and not in a dream, that would really scare me, to see a planet as big as the moon, that close to the Earth. But it wasn't scary. I felt very calm. It was unbelievably peaceful. All of a sudden, without warning, I started to rise off of the ground. And I remember thinking, wow, the rapture's happening. It's finally happening. And it was just such a unbelievable excitement and joy that I felt that the rapture was finally happening, after waiting for it and hearing about it my whole life, and reading about it and anticipating this event, and then it was finally happening. I just felt overwhelming excitement and joy. And I got to maybe the treetops as I was lifting off the ground. Now I want to say also, my whole life I've been taught that it's going to happen in the twinkling of an eye, and just unbelievably quick. You wouldn't have time to think at all. It wasn't like that in my dream. I was slowly rising off the ground. Not extremely slow, but just like maybe about the same speed as a balloon would be rising. I got to about the treetops, and I live here in Washington State, on the western side of Washington State. So we do have a lot of fir trees, and they're very tall. So it was about that tall, or that high off the ground. And I looked down and I seen my kids. Now, none of my kids live at home. They're all grown and moved out, but for some reason they were all right there, and I could see them. And I remember looking at their faces and feeling worried for them, because they weren't rising off the ground. And as soon as I started focusing on that, I started going back down. And that's when I woke up. I want to say the first thing when I woke up, I laid there thinking about it, and two things really stood out to me. Number one, the Bible says that if you love your mother or father more than me, speaking of Jesus said, if you love your mother or father more than me, you're not worthy of me. If you love your daughter or son more than me, you're not worthy of me. And that doesn't mean that we're not supposed to love our families, obviously, but it does mean that Jesus should be number one in our hearts and our mind. The Bible says that where our treasure is, that's where our heart will be. And that should be with Jesus, because the Bible says we're not of this world. So our heart should be, our treasure should be in heaven and with Jesus. But in my dream, my concern and my worry was for my children, and that was holding me here. It was keeping me here. The second thing that stood out to me was, like I had said, how I wasn't taken in the twinkling of an eye, I was raising up and laying there thinking about it. The Bible says, I got people pulling in cars around me here, probably thinking I'm talking to myself in the car, but the Bible says that when Jesus ascended and all of the disciples were standing there watching him, and an angel was even standing there watching with them and said to them, this Jesus that you are watching ascend into the clouds, he'll return to you in the same way. They watched him ascend, and that as I laid there thinking about this dream, that's what came to my mind was, will the rapture be like it was for Jesus ascending up, not in the twinkling of an eye? But yes, the Bible does talk about that, but maybe that's talking about the second coming. I don't know. But I did want to share this dream with you because, like I said, it's been on my mind a lot. It's came to my mind quite a few times. I do feel like it is imminent. There's talk right now about, or maybe they've even started building the temple, rebuilding the temple in Israel. If it's just literally everything happening. The return of Jesus is imminent. If you don't know him, if maybe you have been that person who, like me, when I was young, I wanted to live my life for me. I wanted to do what I wanted to do because I was young and I was very selfish. I was very self-focused. I always thought that I would serve the Lord when I got older, and there's a lady walking by here looking at me, talking to myself. But I always thought, I'll serve the Lord when I'm older, and I wanted to have fun when I was young. And you know what? I feel like there's a lot of people who probably are thinking that when I'm older, I'll serve the Lord then. But the truth is, you might not have that luxury, because even people who are not religious are recognizing the signs. So, I mean, it could be any time. So if you are kind of contemplating or pushing it off, just keep that in mind. You might not have the luxury of waiting until you're older to serve the Lord, because it might be too late. All right, with all that said, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.